Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on, YouTubers? I'm going to talk to you today about the Fighting 69th in World War One. It was mostly New York Irish regiment, mostly Irish Americans, but there were a few that were born in Ireland, and they played major roles in World War One and the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. A really good movie called Fighting 69th has James Cagney star as a fictional character, Jerry Plunkett, who was a very undisciplined soldier, but eventually learned his lesson and found his way. But the commander of the regiment was Wild Bill Donovan, who eventually became the head of the OSS, and the OSS eventually became the CIA. And Wild Bill Donovan was the first head of the OSS. And then the movie also portrays the chaplain, Francis Patrick Duffy, Father Duffy, and he is he was a very good chaplain. He was on the front lines. He ministered to the dying soldiers. He did not take himself out of harm's way. In some cases, the chaplain could, but Father Duffy chose not to do that. Now, at one point, I've done research on this group, read a book, or reading a book about them. It's called A Doughboy in the Fighting 69th. And at one point, they were issued uniforms that were British and had British made boots, and then some of the buttons on the uniforms had the Queen's crown on there, the Royal Queen's crown or the Royal King's crown, and that the soldiers that were born in Ireland saw that as oppression, and they went and burned the uniforms. But Father Francis Patrick Duffy came in there and told them that that would give them a bad reputation, a bad discipline, to stop doing that. And that pretty much ceased. The Fighting 69 was part of a Rainbow Division, and they actually befriended the Harlem Hellfighters in camps. The camps were segregated, but they did befriend the Harlem Hellfighters. And while they fought alongside the 4th Alabama, the Fighting 69th did, and they became friends over in France with the 4th Alabama. The Fighting 69th did not like the way the 4th Alabama was treating the Harlem Hellfighters, and there were so much tensions in the camp between the 4th Alabama and the Harlem Hellfighters. The base camp took weapons away from the Harlem Hellfighters, but they didn't take them, and an all-black cavalry regiment, but they didn't take them away from the white Alabama soldiers. So the Fighting 69 thought that was unfair, and they smuggled some weapons to the Harlem Hellfighters and the all-black cavalry regiment so they could defend themselves in case racial violence happened. Now, fortunately, no African-American soldiers were shot, and it was all good. But the Fighting 69th really respected the Harlem Hellfighters and the 10th Cavalry, the all-black cavalry regiment. I recommend the movie Fighting 69th. It does discuss, it doesn't discuss the relationship they had with African-American soldiers, but it does discuss about how North-South, they were all Americans, and they are fighting for a cause. The Irish Americans that were born in Ireland fled Ireland before World War I, because Ireland was a British protectorate at the time, and they did not want to be fighting for England. But once they got to the USA and the USA declared war, that was not a problem. Even though the USA was fighting on the Allied side, they would be okay fighting for the United States, just not fighting for England. So yeah, the Fighting 69 played major roles in the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. The Fighting 69 was not just in the Civil War. It's the 69th New York National Guard Regiment, and it was also in World War I, and they played a major role in World War I. They were part of the 42nd Rainbow Division, and that was kind of the idea of General MacArthur. You had two brigades, the 83rd Brigade and the 84th Brigade. The 83rd Brigade was the Fighting 69th. Then you had a regiment from Ohio, and then I believe you had a machine gun unit from Georgia, I believe. And then you had the 84th, who had the 4th Alabama. And there was one Iowa regiment, I believe. And then then you had a machine gun unit from Wisconsin, if I remember correctly. But MacArthur coined the term Rainbow Division, saying that it was, the National Guard units are going to come from all over the U.S. and it's going to be covered by the U.S. just like a rainbow oversees all of the United States. So, hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.